All right. All the tech is saying that I am live. I'm going to do one little check thing here to make sure that it shows up where it's supposed to show up and be right with you. Let's see. There it is. Nope. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I think that's it now. Yep. Okay. We're going to do that little thing. All right. I think I did it right. So let's hope. I will check later. So, just as a reminder, thank you for joining me. I'm Dr. Sandra, clinical psychologist, personal energy strategist. I work with professional women and organizations who want to reduce burnout and reignite their power to do the things that matter to them, create lives and businesses they love living in. So today, for last I came up with this idea of doing this series around burnout, what's on the other side. Because so often burnout feels so pervasive, and it is pervasive, that it just seems like, can there be another side, right? Can I actually get out of this, or is this just the way it's going to be? You might even look at your life, right, and say the demands of life, the demands of your work, your career are such that there's no way to get out of this. This is just the way it is for everybody. So I wanted to actually inspire a little bit of hope and talk about what is on the other side, as well as what stops us on one side and what is on the other side once we get through burnout. So um, today's topic is unpacking the bundle of emotions. So, as many of you probably know, one of the symptoms of burnout is emotional exhaustion and cynicism, right? Emotional disconnection. Those would all sort of fall in that category, could all sort of fall in that category of emotional exhaustion. And in the post underneath this description, I said I used the term emotional erosion because that's one way I've seen it described in some of the literature. And when you think about that, right, you think about erosion, emotional erosion. So what's happening when something erodes? It's like slowly wasting away. That depletion that we feel, just not having the emotional energy to invest in something anymore. Um, and that sort of sense that, wow, I used to be able to, shift in my emotional world, but now I just feel sort of stuck, right? Like our ability to navigate through different emotions seems gone. When you're overstressed, that can happen. What you feel most is the stress, is the thing that's kind of wearing you out. And your nervous system is in hyperarousal. So you're not quite attached to that part of you that knows how to settle yourself. Um, and I think the last thing I would say about this emotional sort of erosion, this is this this weightedness that people feel, this heaviness that they often feel, because um there's a lot of emotions, right? Let's just take the example of somebody who's just overworked. They maybe your organization had to downsize some people, or maybe there was some attrition, and so now everybody else is having to take on new tasks. And you are like, all the things you were doing already were too much, and now you're expected to do more. And if you're a manager, you're looking at your team and you're saying, I don't know what to do because hey, I can't weigh them down anymore, but I'm getting this message that now I just have to divide because we don't really have the money to hire more people or whatever, right? So everybody is feeling this weight of the extra things that they have to do. And there doesn't feel like there's a way out. So this emotional erosion leaves us feeling depleted, but it also leaves us feeling like and heavy, and it also leaves us feeling like constricted, like the only thing we're experiencing is the frustration, the bitterness, the anger, the pure just exhaustion of somebody else's expectations, right? The pressure of it all. And when we get to that place, one of the things I notice that happens, right? And people say, man, I'm not keeping up, right? You can't keep up anymore. You see you're not functioning at the level that you used to. And you're noticing that you disengage. And if you're a manager, you might notice a person who usually has ideas in a meeting, they're not there in the meeting anymore. They've actually disconnected. They're like, I don't really like. I'll have no 2 cents to give, right? Right? There's like a really not so nice way of saying that, but that was the first thing that came to my mind. I don't have 2 cents to give, right? So I'm out of this thing. I'm gone. And even though they're present and they're working hard, we're missing a piece of what they have to offer. Now, often the person who's doing this work, whether you're a manager or whether you're a team manager, team member, you're saying, wow, wait a minute, where did we go wrong? Particularly if you're looking at yourself and saying, I don't know how I created this, right? So the person who's burned out and feeling overwhelmed and weighed down by their emotional experience and constricted in an emotional experience often wonders why couldn't they manage stress better? Why couldn't they do it better? And so they often blame themselves and they feel some sort of shame. And if Now, let's talk about shame for a minute. So, shame puts us in this place of saying, I'm the only one. Probably everybody else is doing just fine. And I don't know why I couldn't figure this out because I should be smart enough to figure this out, right? So, it leaves you feeling like you're the singular person who does this, that this is not a part of the human experience. Then you become unkind with yourself and you cut off from yourself. You say, I'm just not going to pay attention to this sleepy feeling that I had or this anger, and I'm just going to go drive in, right? So a lot of times people drive in harder first. And then they get to the place where they actually disengage, where they say, okay, I'm here, but I'm numb and I'm just doing the things. Okay. So we have a point now, right? And then they don't, because they feel the shame, they don't ask anybody for support. They don't go to get the help that they usually could. So that's the one side, right? That's the side where we feel like everything is kind of weighted and heavy and crumbling and I don't have what I need. And then we sort of hold ourselves there when we feel ashamed or we just feel like numb at everything we're experiencing. So, but on the other side, right? Everything has a complement, right? So when you're feeling that sort of stuck thing, like this is a principle I call flexibility. You want to think about one of the things you can do is just think about, okay, I'm stuck. I'm feeling weighed down by something. It's simply if you feel weighed down, you want to feel a little lighter. The one thing to do is be like, what would be a small thing I could do to feel a little more light in this moment? That I could feel a little more peace in this moment. And that could simply be getting up, taking a walk, or stopping and taking 3 deep breaths. But whatever that is to you, that you could take that small action to give yourself a little relief and reconnect to your body. Now, the other thing I could say about this being on this side, if you're feeling shame, right? Remember, I talked about shame leaves you feeling like you're the only one, like you don't really want to pay attention to what's on inside of you, and you blame yourself. You're accusing yourself. You're probably being kind of mean to yourself. Is that for each one of, if you were talking to a friend about this experience, right? You would have some self compassion for them, right? You would have some compassion for them. And I'm just saying that shame brings you to the place of not being able to have enough compassion for yourself that you will take action for you. So, to get out of that, one thing you can do is to talk to yourself as though you were talking to someone you really care about to help them move through the shame to take an action, right? Everything has a complement. On the other side of the shame, right, is a person who cares about how they present themselves in the world. There's a person who wants to make a difference, right? So just think, right, when we feel one emotion and we feel like our environment is pushing us into a way of being that is not us, that's our emotions telling us that something's off. Something is not aligned with who we feel like we are. So the blaming and the shaming, right? It's like, wait, there's a part like I value the way I work in the world, right? There's something that's important to you about how you show up. And now you're in this place where you're not showing up that way. So you have these experiences. What's on the other side of that? Something that knows that you want better for yourself. How do you start to get to that other side, right? That's like taking that first step toward knowing there's a way that I can work that feels better to me, that's more aligned with me. There can be many things that might need to happen in your organization as well. It's not all on you, but you getting some support for yourself, that action you can always take. You can always talk to the manager, right? Managers who also often are feeling really way down, right? If you have one that you can talk to, it's really great that you can speak to them. But for yourself, like what could you do? Manager, team member, whoever you are, what is the smallest step you could take away from shame into feeling better, into feeling like here's something I can do to support me? That one thing might be simply asking yourself, if I were talking to a really great friend about this, what would I tell them to do? And that might be the thing that helps to save you. Start to save you. Start you to heal, right? So, but again, like we know, organizations have to change too. So the change can't always be on you, particularly if you're overloaded and your organization is just struggling right now. So that's one step. And here's the other thing. When you decide, if you ever feel so ashamed, right? You said, "Oh my God, this is my fault. I don't know how I did this. I don't know why I did this. Why is this going on?" And you get to the point that you actually feel like you feel so much that you just feel like I can't talk to anybody about this. Like you're down on yourself, right? You're beating yourself up. You're not being a friend to yourself. Remember, this is this one key that I really want to share with you today. Burnout is not the end of your story, right? Just even think of that as a question. What if this is not the end of my story? What if not this is not the defining moment that ends everything for me, the period at the end of a sentence? But this is the moment where I actually get to pivot. That burnout is the beginning of you rewriting your story, shifting the way you work, shifting the way you talk to yourself, shifting the way you live your life, right? So on the other side of burnout is this person who has a lot more compassion for themselves, right? A lot more compassion for who they are in the world, and even more, what do we call those strategies for staying close to what really matters to them, right? Okay. I just got a message that there's some trouble with streaming to LinkedIn, but it's not a problem. So, anyway, that's what I had today. I'm actually going to check the comments because I'm just looking to see who's here, and I want to make sure that everybody can see. Okay, right? Sometimes I can't see the comments because they just won't let me. But something happens, and if you don't see me comment right now, I will go to each one of these feeds and check to see what people said and share it with them. All right. So that's what I had today, right? Remember, burnout is not the end of your story. What if it's just your chance to rewrite it, to write the story the way you really want it to be? All right. I'm Dr. Sandra, and I work with professionals and organizations who want to reduce burnout and create lives they love living. It looks like somebody gave me a comment. Let me see. Go back over here. All right, you're welcome. Thank you. Great to hear from you. All right. All right. So it looks like there was a LinkedIn issue. So I'm going to figure out how to fix that. I think I can just share the feed, share the YouTube post to LinkedIn. All right, everybody. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. And I will probably see you in 2 weeks. All right. Have a good one.